experience.
Now, any other realtors in the room besides me? Any other realtors?
No.
I was chairman of the Houston Association of Realtors in 2004, which then was the largest association of realtors in the country, not like Miami is today, but close. Every year I come up with a new topic, and this year's topic is things change. And I have to deliver my new topic the first week of October so our graphics designers can design it. How many of y'all think that was a gutsy call before the election a month? Things change. My designer said, "You're going to hate that." And I said, "Nah, I think Trump's going to win," and lo and behold. So, when things change, I have to tell y'all how nice it is to be in Florida, because every February I'm in Alaska for a week. Who's ever gotten off an airplane at 58 below zero? Yeah, Steve, you have it. And that's without wind chill. In fact, you don't pull up the pump, you pull up to the hose. Y'all see that. And you talk about things change.
Oh, yeah.
My first speech every year is to the top 30 under 30 at the Houston Association of Realtors. And so I showed them a rotary dial phone. I said, "Who in here remembers rotary dial phones?" And not one hand went up. Now, one lady said, "I remember with the push buttons, but I never saw a rotary dial one." Is that amazing, guys? Who in here remembers slide rules besides me?
I own 2.
You own 2 of them?
Yes.
I wouldn't admit that. I still have mine, by the way.
In case of power failure, they still work.
In case of power failure, they do work. In fact, I pulled mine out. Senior in high school, September of '71, I had to buy a slide rule. I was taking calculus and physics. Let me tell you how things have changed. In 1971, there was no pocket calculator. In 1972, Hewlett-Packard came out with the $300 plus minus multiplication division about the size of a third of a brick. Who remembers that little brown calculator? That calculator cost $300. I ordered a brand new Pontiac Grand Prix in May of '72 when I was a senior graduating from high school. It cost $3,000. That calculator cost 1/10 the cost of a really good car. Talk about things changing on that one. Who remembers your first color display? Here's mine. Yeah, and then I showed this to these top 30 under 30. This is my first photocopy device. And I got this deer in the headlight look again from them, and I had one young lady says, "What is that?" And I said, "You've never taken silly putty on Sunday comics?" And she says, "What are Sunday comics?" She doesn't read newsprint. Now think about what I just said, guys. Things change on this thing. Well, I talk about things change. I was in London the week before Brexit vote. And when you get on an airplane, you go overseas, they give you the newspaper of where you're going. And it said Brexit's going to fail by a big margin. I didn't talk to one person who wasn't going to vote for it. That's why I knew things were changing. And lo and behold, it was kind of the same thing here. This is the new official message in the bottle. Who thinks that'd be neat to sell in gift shops in the Keys? I think it would be, like message in the bottle type thing. Don't let yesterday take up too much today. Who believes in that one? I don't care what happened yesterday. Tell me what you can do today and tomorrow. That's what counts, guys. So things change. Oh, now here we are on this beautiful beach. Who's ever been to St. Martin? Okay, y'all been to the Sunset Bar there? You may remember this, so here we go. Let's see how this works.
How good is this? Hotel right on the beach. Can't believe we got it so cheap.
Yeah, it's one runway, and the large wide-body aircraft come all the way from Europe, and they land right over the top of the beach. Funnest thing you can do for an afternoon is go out there and drink and watch the stupid people. Who thinks I'm right? Because not only do they land there, when they get ready to take off, this airplane comes down there, and there's always some drunk guys that hang on the fence. And they literally look like Superman flying until they lose. And I saw a guy lose his grip on the fence, go across the road, hit the beach, rolled 3 times, got dumped about 60 feet out in the water, and I realized, we got a dead man. And he comes up from under the water, he says, "Bring me a beer, I'm thirsty." So if you want to go have a good time, maybe it's an incredible sight to go see this stuff. Who wants to go see this now? Isn't that amazing? Wow, things change. All right, so let's talk about the most amazing thing that's taking place in our economy today. Nothing's going to stop it. It's these millennials. Now, I'm a boomer. You're a boomer if you're born between 1946 and 1964. And there happens to be 76 million of us, and I hate to tell you all this, Stephen, you and me both on this one, you too, because you're old. You're old too, if you haven't, it's not real.
Older than that.
We're all gonna die, guys. Every boomer in the world is gonna die. But don't worry about it, because if you look at millennials, between the ages of 19 and 35, there's 83 million. If you go down to the age of 16, there's 91 million. Guys, it's the largest population demographic the United States has ever seen. More important than that, the most common age of millennials today is 25, then 24, then 26. Most common age of the first-time home buyer is 31, and last year, for the first time according to NAR, millennials were the number one home buying segment. How many of y'all knew that? And yet they're still 6 years younger than the typical home buyer age. You need to understand these millennials for the next 14 years are going to be forming households, and the next 30 years will be our next first-time home buyers. Last year alone, we think about 1.3 million net new households. That's the current estimate. We're going to do that every year, on average, for the next 13 years, guys. It's going to happen no matter what. And so I'm just trying to tell you all this. Millennials are where it's at. Who thinks I'm right on this? And I'm going to also tell you, you need to start cultivating millennials. How many of y'all tweet? The hell, I'm in a room with realtors and nobody tweets? I'm 63 and I tweet? Y'all need to start tweeting with me. DRTCJ. DRTCJ. Why do I tell you you need to tweet? Because if your current book of business are geezer boomers like myself, as we boomers die, so does your business. If you don't start cultivating millennials, you're going to have a dying business. Who thinks I'm right? I know I'm right on this one, guys. And, millennials, get this one. Millennials will literally, 19% will never check their voicemails. They'll check their texts, they'll check their tweets, they'll check their Snapchat. They will not. 1 out of 5 will never check their voicemails. So you've got to communicate in their channels. They speak English like you and I speak English. Oh, and what's going to scare you, you and I call this our phone, correct? Millennials call this their device, because to them it's a lot more than phone. One of these groups last June did a survey of 500 millennials. They said, would you miss the phone function on your device? And 75% of millennials said no. Yeah. So they're using it for communications, but not like you and I use it. Most of us in this room would feel naked without our phone. Am I correct? Yes. Yeah. But understand that they communicate differently. So let's go into this thing. Here's what I think is going to happen. Now, by the way, thinking what's going to happen and happening is two different things. And what you have right now in Washington, D.C. is classic politician, complete lack of leadership in the House and the Senate. Who agrees with me on this one? It's all politics. It has nothing to do about what's right. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. Who's disgusted with me in the House and Senate? I really am. I'm just going to tell you that. So here's what I think is going to happen. I do think we're going to cut the corporate tax from 35% to 15%. I'll show you why we need to do that in a few minutes. I do believe, and I think the Democrats are going to go along with this one, we're going to have corporate profit repatriation. Now, I work for Steward Title. Steward Title is owned by Steward Information Services Corporation. We're traded on the New York Stock Exchange. We do business in 22 countries. How many of y'all knew that? Y'all thought Steward was a little local company, didn't you? A little bit? 22 countries, New York Stock Exchange based. But for example, our second biggest country of operation is Canada. If we make $1 million in Canada, we pay a 15% corporate federal tax rate. That means you got $850,000 to invest. If I bring the $850,000 back to the U.S., I have to pay another 20%, $200,000, excuse me. So now I have $650,000 to invest. Guess where I leave the money?
Canada.
Leave in Canada. Now we're small. It's just a couple billion in revenues. Let's talk about Apple, and Microsoft, and GE, and Boeing, and those kind of companies. My gosh, 2 weeks ago, Apple announced they have $256 billion of cash on hand. 90% parked in foreign countries. And they're not going to bring it home because they have to pay too much in tax. So what Trump has proposed, and I certainly hope the Congress goes along with this, let's cut the corporate tax rate to 15% and just taxes 15% when it comes back in. Who likes that idea? Oh, the Speaker of the House estimated 3 months ago that if we were to do that, we would repatriate $3 trillion. Trillion. Realize the whole U.S. GDP is $18 trillion. We get $3 trillion back, and if you tax it 15%, that tax would be $450 billion. You will collect $450 billion in taxes you otherwise will never ever collect. That will pay for almost half of Trump's proposed $1 trillion infrastructure build-out. Who thinks they're going to do this? Oh, by the way, you better hope it does, because if we bring $3 trillion in cash back, it will keep interest rates from going up too much. It'll buffer that, so it'll be a shock absorber too. We're going to get rid of carried interest elimination. Now, I don't know that there's anyone, Steve, do you work with carried interest in your mortgage company? Yeah. So Stephen's going to be my exception. Carried interest are people like Warren Buffett, Mitt Romney. They pay 12 to 14% income tax. That's it. Their personal assistants pay double that rate. I'm in favor of getting rid of carried interest. Who else is with me on this? They should pay the same rate we do. Even Steve is, and he works with carried interest. Obamacare tax. Now, when Obamacare, let me say something about Obamacare. Half of you like it, half of you don't like it. Half of you like the Republicans, half of you won't like it. There's no one-size-fits-all in health care. Who agrees? I think the Republicans are much like, I grew up on a sheep ranch in Colorado and Texas, and we had a dog. 3 o'clock every afternoon going out on a county road because a UPS truck came by and that dog would try to chase it and catch it. I have no idea why. But this dog had it into that truck. Thank God that dog never caught that truck because I have no idea what it would do with it. The dog is just like the Republicans, and the truck happens to be Obamacare. The Republicans caught it, now they don't know what to do with it. Who thinks I'm right on this one, too? Yeah, I mean, let's just go on this one. But when we came in with the Obamacare, not only did we raise our capital gains tax from 18 to 20%, we added this thing, 3.8% investment tax. And you pay that, you make over $250,000, not on your own primary dwelling, but anything else. You make over $250,000 on any investment transaction. You're going to pay probably the 20% capital gains or your ordinary income tax rate of short term plus the 3.8%. I actually sold some property this past year, and here I was thinking, oh God, I get capital gains. My effective tax rate getting out of this property was 23.8%. That's asinine. Who agrees with me? That's massive taxes that discourages investment. We got to have investment in this stuff. We're going to get a capital gains tax cut. I do believe that. And now let's talk about, and I just got a call from Realtor.com about 30 minutes before I came down from my room. They're doing a survey today. What do y'all think of doubling the individual deduction? Do you like it or not? So remember, right now, as an individual on your income tax form, you get a $12,000 deduction per person. Trump's proposing to double it to $24,000. Good or bad? NAR says bad. Why? The problem is, on this one is, if you buy a $500,000 home, and interest rates are 4%, and property taxes are 2%, and a $500,000 home, you put 20% down, you borrow $400,000. You don't get to itemize because you already have $24,000 of deduction. So NAR is against this because they think it will discourage home buyers. My answer is I don't know of anyone who buys a home just because of the tax deduction. Do you? So I'm not too worried about it, but NAR is going against this. I just want to tell you that on that one. So why do we need to cut corporate income taxes? This happens to be on the left is 2000, on the right is current. I want you to know in 2000, Germany's corporate tax rate was 42.2%. Today it's 15.8%. Why did Germany cut their tax rate that much, guys?
Spur growth.
What's that?
To spur growth.
Spur growth. Actually, not just to spur growth, but to stop the exodus. Germany was looking for a new global site for their X-Series plant. If you ride in any X-Series BMW, any place in the world, including Australia with the steering wheel on the right, every one of them is made in South Carolina. Because our corporate tax rate at that point in time was 35%, Germany's was 42.8%, and after several corporations left Germany, Germany said that will not happen. So they cut their corporate tax rate. So, well, let's do the next one. I mean, Canada went from 29.1 to 15%. UK went from 30% to 20%. Who thinks we need to cut our corporate tax rate to 15%? I do. Why? As I told the lady from Realtor.com in this interview, 3 kinds of people don't need a job to buy a home. Who are they? You ought to know, you live in Florida. Blue hair, gray hair, no hair. They're called retirees, am I right? The only people I know really don't need a job to buy a home. Am I right? So, we got to be competitive on this stuff. So now let me tell you about my mega themes this year. Mega theme number 1. How many of y'all knew this? We have more jobs than any time in history. No, it amazed me during the election. See, I'm discussed with Republicans and the Democrats, so I get to bash both sides. Hillary was saying, elect me and we'll let Bill run the economy because it was good when he was in presidency. By the way, it was good also because of the Speaker of the House, who had the contract with America, and we had a balanced budget only because of the Speaker of the House and the President. That was the last time the Democrats and Republicans worked together. Y'all knew that, right? Bill Clinton, that was a long time ago, guys. And then you had Trump saying, make America great again. Obama just should have stood up and said, hey, I got more people working than any time in history. And he could have said that, and he would have been honest. He also should have said, oh, by the way, we still have 14 million people who had a job, lost their job, been out of a job so long they're not even counted unemployed, they're not even counted in the workforce anymore. So it's not all roses on that one. So, but the other thing is, on this more jobs than any time in history, guys, and it's just starting, these millennials, I mean, you look at the numbers of them. Oh, and millennials, you think they're in the share society. The second they get their first job and it's their money, they no longer share. Y'all knew that, right? When everyone's broke, it's easy to share, right? When it's your money, it's difficult to share. We're going to have this retail boom. How many of y'all do any commercial? Okay? We're going to have a retail boom that's going to last the next 14 years. Why? Every time a millennial rents their first apartment, what do they have to buy? Everything. Mattress, sheets, blankets, pillows, pillowcases, nightstands, lamps, throw rugs, garbage cans, knives, forks, cups, saucers. Oh, and if mom and dad give them the old stuff, they don't have to buy it. Mom and dad buy new stuff, so they're going to buy it anyway. Y'all get my drift on this? And that's going to continue to 14 years. Oh, and I will tell you this. Y'all remember Nostradamus? That guy that forecast. Here's my Ted Jones Nostradamus forecast. 14 years from now, we have another mother of all recessions. Why? Because the last millennial will have left home. How do I know that? Well, the odds are they will. We'll just do that. Go back to the boomers. The last boomer was born in 64. You go 18 years later, 1982, and lo and behold, we had a major recession because the boomers, last one that moved out, bought all our stuff and weren't buying all that stuff after that. So y'all understand 13 years from now, Ted Jones is completely out of the stock market. Y'all with me on this? All right. Good news is we have entry-level home buyers returning. That's great news because it's the first time since the bubble implosion we've really had, well, in this last month, for example, in April, and I reported 34% of all home purchases were first-time home buyers. That's the highest it's been in a long years. We also have this other thing that's phenomenal going on. High-end housing is retreating. Have y'all noticed the high-end housing market slowing down? Yeah. I think it started in June, July, August, September, October, November, December. I think it was because of the election. I think it's because neither of us liked our candidate. I don't care who you were, Republican or Democrat. One of the polls I heard was 47% of the people that voted for Hillary were voting against Trump. 46% of the people voting for Trump were voting against Hillary. That means half of us didn't even like our own candidate. Think about what I just said. That said, we backed out. And if you look at last year, not only did high-end housing sales go down, so did high-end car sales go down. I have a friend who owns a Cadillac dealership. And I see him every month or so, and I said, how are sales? And he would tell me last year he was pulling his hair out. He says, the worst it's been. This is worse than the 08 recession, Ted. And I said, so finally I saw him in December, actually New Year's. I said, how are December sales? He said, I've never said this before. We actually sold more Cadillacs in December than any month this year. That has never happened because December is not a good car sales month. I said, was it Republicans or Democrats? Guess what his answer was? Yes. It was just the resolution. Now, when will high-end housing come back? It's not coming back till Congress gets their act together and passes the tax rules. Who thinks I'm right on this? No one's going to go out and borrow $2 million to buy a house, not knowing if it's deductible or not. Am I correct? Yep. So that's why I'm mean on Congress right now. If you don't think there's inflation out there, UPS raised their rates 4.9% last December 26th. That's huge. Or as our president said, that's big league, if you want to do that one. Oh, and for you in commercial sales are cooling faster than global warming's going up, if you want to believe in that one. So let me talk to you about what's hot last year. Industrials, manufacturing was the big winner. Dow Jones Industrial Average, the 30 companies that build stuff, got over 13% return. It wasn't hot. The techs, there wasn't one new device we had to go get. Am I right? There was no new iPod, no iPad, new iPhone. Well, there was an iPhone 7. I asked this group of millennials, I said, what is the difference between an iPhone 6 and an iPhone 7? And this lady, about as far as you from me, she was like 27 years old, she says, $180, Doc. She knew what it was, but other than that, they're the same, is what she was telling me. Gold. I do not like gold. If you like gold, just go. Why don't I like gold? It doesn't pay rent. It doesn't pay dividends. It doesn't pay interest. It has very high transaction costs. Oh, and gold historically goes down in value when interest rates go up, and I truly believe rates are rising. Y'all with me on this? All right. Why is silver so hot? Should we buy silver? Nah, silver's hot because that top line. Silver is used in industrial processes, guys, and we actually use up silver. We never use up gold, but silver we do. And the big winner last year was crude oil. Now, total jobs. More than any time in history. Total number of jobs. Y'all see this? No one realizes we have more jobs than any time in history. Oh.
Well, what kind of job?
What kind of jobs? Good question.
Part-time.
We have 7 million people who have part-time jobs that want full-time jobs. But we already are creating a lot more full-time jobs already in the last 2 months. ADP comes out. ADP's estimating mid a 250,000 jobs this month for last month. In other words, we'll find out tomorrow morning. But this is a measly job growth rate. It's 1.55%. It should be almost double that. So I'm going to tell you all this. Every morning I watch 20 minutes of MSNBC and 20 minutes of Fox. You need to hear both sides. Who thinks I'm right? By the way, I don't care what you're left or right. You will hate one of them. Am I correct?
Yes.
Don't have any bricks around your TV because you'll throw it.
Hate both.
So I will also tell you both sides give us fake news. Who thinks I'm right? About a month and a half ago, a young lady on MSNBC, she says it's now official. President Trump has put the country in a recession. I'm thinking, dang, I'm an economist. I didn't know that. Definition of recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. We do not have a recession. We do not have negative GDP, guys. And I've even got a better one. I call this my blood pressure test. I look at employment and leisure and hospitality. We don't spend money on leisure and hospitality unless we feel good about the future, right? Guys, U.S. job growth overall is 1.55%. Leisure and hospitality is 1.95%. We feel good about the future. In the first quarter of this year, let me tell you how good we feel about leisure and about the future. First quarter of this year, the U.S. cruise ship industry had an all-time record number of bookings. We feel good. Forget the confidence polls. Confidence interval, confidence index reported by University of Michigan. Crap. Look at leisure and hospitality employment, because that's where people put their money is what counts. Now, I do want to show you this one. This is the top states where it's hot, where it's not. Nevada, number 1, Utah, number 2, Idaho, number 3, Georgia, number 4, Florida, number 5. Your job growth rate is 2.58%. U.S. is 1.55%. You're growing about 60% ahead of the U.S. Wow. You get it? Jobs are everything in the economy, period. Period. All about jobs. You look at the rest of them, Washington, Oregon, Texas, Arizona, Tennessee. The losers. I'm going to point out the losers. Alaska's the biggest loser. Alaska is the one state. I'm actually speaking at the Alaska Realtor Convention in September. It is my most worrisome state. Why? Because 100% of the revenues run the Alaska government, 100% of the revenues come from oil and gas taxes and federal grants. They're down to 8 drilling rigs in Alaska. There's over 300 in Texas. We have 8 drilling rigs left in Alaska that are operating. When we built the Alaskan pipeline, we put 2.2 million barrels per day down it. Today, less than 450,000 barrels a day is coming down that pipeline.
It's the price, right?
What's that?
It's the price of oil that's doing that.
It's the price of oil, and yep, it's the price of oil, yep. Well, and environmental issues too. Well, we had President Obama stating you could not drill in any federal lands. You could not drill in any offshore waters because that's all federal lands. You do those rules, they're not going to drill, and that's where your oil's at. So it made it real easy. Next one, Wyoming, oil, gas, and coal. Next one, West Virginia, coal. Kansas, how come Kansas is doing so bad? Because nobody wants to live there. Then you do Oklahoma and Louisiana, all oil and gas, just to show you this stuff. I do want to brag on Florida for one thing. You guys are in the catbird seat. Now, every year, the Tax Foundation does a big study, and they rank all 50 states on 5 taxes: corporate income tax, personal income tax, retail sales tax, unemployment tax, property tax. You're the 4th best place to do business with in the United States. Now, 1, 2, and 3 don't count. South Dakota, or Wyoming, South Dakota, and Alaska. You are the best place of any state where people want to live to do business in. Do y'all get this yet? Why do you think Caterpillar relocated their plant here from Japan on articulated front end loaders? Why do you think Hertz relocated to Southwest Florida? Y'all get it yet? You have not only is it a beautiful place, you have a great business environment. That's kind of amazing that you have that. It's good news. Now, who's from the Keys in here? So I got Miami, Fort Lauderdale MSA, and because there is no Keys MSA, so it's my proxy. Is that a fair enough proxy for you guys on employment? The U.S. is growing jobs at 1.55%. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, and I misspelled Palm, I'll correct that, 2.35%, more than any time in history. Do y'all see this? Just cranking, guys. No, just cranking. It's a great environment. Oh, and your leisure and hospitality job growth, U.S. is 1.95%, you're 2.61%. Cranking. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to forecast that Florida will have the best tourism season this year in history. Who thinks I'm right? I asked them last night when I checked in, I said, how are bookings for the summer? And they said, awesome. I mean, have y'all noticed how much hotel rooms have gone up this year? It's because their bookings are so tight. So it tells you about people are coming to Florida this year. So let's talk to the U.S. This happens to be U.S. home sales. That black line is the total number of sales in the prior 12 months. The blue bars behind it are median price. Now, we went down a tiny bit in April compared to the previous month of a 12-month interval. We went down 38/100%. So that's almost negligible. That's almost a measurement error if you think about that. Did you know in March of this year, for a 12-month interval, we sold more homes than any time since June 2006? Yeah. So I have these people all over the country, when's housing coming back? And my answer is, it did. You missed it. And they say, how come my sales are down? I said, look to the left and look to the right because they took them. Am I right? Yeah. So we look at that. So I have this, all right, so my job as an economist, I forecast for 60 markets across the country, 12 months in advance, housing sales by month. Y'all think that's tough? So let me show you how I'm doing this year. Here's my forecast as of January 1. Here's where we're at right now, okay? So how bad did I do in the first 4 months? Good or bad? What do y'all think? I missed 1.5 million housing sales by 3,000. Think that's pretty good? Yep. And the reason I'm showing this, because I'm going to show you the same thing for Miami, West Palm, Fort Lauderdale. This is single family sales. Y'all see them kind of tracking down? It is. Do I expect sales to go up this year? No. Is that fair enough? Anyone going to disagree with me? How about condo sales? Do I expect condo sales to go up? No, because I can rent them cheaper than I can own them. And then you start, look at the bobbleheads out here. Yeah, I like that. So again, that's single family. So here's my forecast for Miami this year. I think we'll be down around, on single family, a little less than 4%. Now, that said, in the first 4 months, we're actually up 0.5%, so my forecast could be off. But that downward, I'll back up to that line again. That downward, kind of ever so slight downward says sales aren't going up. There's my condo sales. How many of y'all think maybe we built one or two too many? And you're seeing it right here. If there's no sense of urgency, there's no need to buy. And we're seeing that in Miami condos. Yep, it is what it is. But look what our prices are doing. See the blue bars? Prices are hanging in there well. In fact, if you back up to this one, you can see that our single-family prices in Q4 last year were up 10.6% on the previous 12-month average. So that's really good news. Now, are we building too many dwellings overall? Yes.
Actually, I had a question before you pass the condo part.
Sure.
How do you reconcile your numbers of new construction in Miami versus existing?
I haven't done that because the data I get from Florida Realtors doesn't break that out.
None of the other developers don't play nice.
No, developers don't play nice, and for a reason. And I'll just go to Houston. I'll just give you an example from home. We've overbuilt Houston Class A apartments so bad. We've overbuilt high-rise luxury condos in Houston so bad. What happened was we wouldn't have overbuilt except oil plunged more than 50% in value, and we've essentially had no job growth in 3 years. And yet 3 years ago we added 37,000 new Class A apartments, and last year 27,000. We're going to deliver 17,000. We didn't need one of them. So as a result, there's no sense of urgency to buy or rent any of those because you can rent real cheap. One of my friends is one of the managers of one of these projects. So 3 years ago when they started it, I'm just going to give you some rents. And this was astronomical for Houston. 20th floor out of a 40-story building, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2 car parking spaces, 1,404 square feet. Pro forma 3 years ago was $4,700 a month rent. Houston. I'm not talking Miami Beach. We're talking Houston. Overlooks a swamp, not the beach. There's a big difference. Y'all need to. I love Houston. Don't get me wrong, but we're not this. We're not like out this beautiful window out here, guys. So when I saw him at a party a couple weeks ago, I said, "How's your pro forma doing?" He says, "We're getting it." I said, "And you're drunk?" And he says, "No, we're getting it." He says, "I'm getting that rent." I said, "Go lie to someone else." And then finally later in the night, he said, "I'm getting the $4,700 a month, but I get 4 months free rent on the front." So it's minus 33%. Y'all get my drift? So I'm going to kind of answer you on this one. This is an intriguing thing about the big metropolitan statistical area. The blue happens to be single family, and that could be, it is what it is. The white is multifamily. That could be anything from apartments to high-rise luxury condos and everything in between. So we build about 2 to 1. Y'all see that? Condos 2 to 1. 17, we don't know how many permits we're going to issue. These are new permits issued. That's just the latest 12 months. The latest 12 months, in that whole metropolitan statistical area, we issued 18,500 and change new dwelling unit permits. We created 60,400 net new jobs, which means we've got 3.25 new jobs per new dwelling unit. We think you only need 1.25 to 1.5 new jobs per new dwelling unit. So technically, we're dramatically underbuilding that market. Did you hear what I just said? So, but when you have too much of a specific product, that product suffers. And that's where we sit today in Miami. I want to go back to millennials. CBRE did this massive study last year. If you learn one good takeaway from here, Google, if you want to know more about millennials, Google CBRE millennial study. Okay? And it's the first of 2 they're going to do. And they surveyed 13,000 millennials global, 2,000 of them in the US. And they asked all kinds of questions. And what we found out that 49% of millennials still live at home. In a minute, you're going to see why. Of those that don't live at home, 64% rent. Of those 64% that rent, 63% want to own their own home. And by the way, the national home ownership rate is 63%, so millennials aren't any different than you and me, except they're a lot younger than you and me. We can talk about that. So we're going to talk more about millennials. Now, I want to make a statement about where the U.S. is. First of all, I don't see a recession. And secondly, if for some freak occurrence we were to get a recession, it's going to be very mild. The last recession we had, you and I were at the bloody edge of credit. We'd maxed out our credit cards. We'd bought too many condos and homes. We'd paid too much for cars. We were this deep in car loans. We were just a flat tire, you're bankrupt type logic because you couldn't make that pay to get it fixed. That's all changed. This looks at this is for all Americans. It looks at your take-home pay versus what you spend on 3 primary loans. Looks at college loans, your car loans, and your house loan. On average, we're spending 10 cents of every take-home dollar for those 3 things. That's down from 13.2%. So we've actually shaved that almost, not quite 30%. So we have reduced how much we pay out. Now, I'm going to mention college loans here. Are there people in trouble with college loans? Yes. Now, let me tell you the rules on college loans. But you already know this if you tweeted with me. DRTCJ, y'all did catch that, right? DRTCJ, okay. One of the gurus of college loans said, college loans are fine as long as your college loan when you graduate from college does not exceed your first year's salary. Because if it doesn't exceed your first year's salary, you can completely pay that loan off in 10 years, including buying a house in that same period. 2 kinds of people are in trouble with college loans. Trouble number 1, people who have college debt and did not get the degree. Texas, the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas did a study in 2008, I'm sure it still applies. The average Texan who gets a college loan in the first 20 years makes 97% more than the non-college graduates. That means they make twice as much. And then the other kind of person that's in trouble in college loans, I call these people stupid. I was on an airplane 3 years ago in a few months. I was coming back from Boston. I was meeting a bunch of shareholders. I live on American in Southwest. It's American flight. I bought a cheap seat and I got upgraded. Now I'm sitting in first class. I think, yeah, it's going to be a nice 4.5 hour flight back to Dallas. And a young lady sitting next to me at 7 o'clock in the morning, 22, 23 years old, and she's happy and she's ordering champagne. And I said, what are you celebrating? She says, I just graduated college. I said, where are you going? She says, I'm going to Dallas. I said, what are you going to do when you get there? And she started to answer, and then she stopped. And she said, do you know my parents? I said, I don't know. What are your parents' names? I live in Connecticut. No, I didn't know them. She says, well, she said, well, I'm going to go to Dallas and drink with 5 of my girlfriends. We all graduated from college. We're going to drink for 4 consecutive days. I said, so what was the answer going to be if I knew your parents? She says, now I don't have to go see Uncle Dave and Aunt Kate. And I said, so what'd you graduate in? And she said, I got a degree in English. And I went, ooh. I said, do you have any college debt? She says, boy, do I. And I said, how much? She said, $141,000. And then she said, and I used the last bit of the proceeds to buy this first class ticket. She put a college ticket on a plane ticket on a 30-year-old. How stupid can you be? Stupid. Y'all understand my definition of stupid? Yeah. Oh, lastly, I will tell you this. You know, we actually have people today in their 60s that are applying for Social Security, and they've defaulted on their college loan. Did you know that Social Security will garnish your Social Security benefits if you haven't paid off your college loan? How many of y'all knew that? How many of y'all knew that? It's true. It's true. Just wanted to tell y'all that little tidbit right there. Retail, for my commercial people, I love retail. Not all of it. The word department store are 4-letter words as far as I'm concerned. But this is total retail sales. We've adjusted for seasonality. We've adjusted for inflation. It's going to continue to go up for the next 13 years. We will have dips as we have recessions. Well, now, let me do this. I'm going to give you 3 words. Well, 3 phrases. 70% millennials retail shopping. What do you think it means?
I'm on Amazon.
Millennials do 70% of their shopping online, right?
That's right.
Yeah, well, I thought that too, but the CBRE study said no. Millennials buy 70% of their stuff in stores. Oh. In fact, when they did this survey and they were getting this high level of these millennials saying they went to the store, the CBR went back and they changed their question. They had to ask them why. And the answer was, because I want it now. And now you know why Amazon Prime delivers on Sundays. Now you know why Amazon and Google are looking at the drone delivery, because we can get it to you now. So just to show you another thing about millennials, this is why half of them still live at home. Millennials spend, again for the CBR study, almost 50% of all their disposable income on leisure, going out, non-food shopping, and other non-essential items. They stay at home because they're broke. Y'all get it?
Yep.
One of my really good friends works for a major shopping center company. I won't even tell you it's a REIT, I won't even tell you which one. And his big issue right now are department stores. I actually think Macy's will go bankrupt in the next 24 months, if not sooner. Who thinks I'm right? Yeah. Department stores, one size doesn't fit all. It's like healthcare. That's what a department store was. You stopped there and you got everything you needed. And today we look at high-end, high-service, high-touch boutiques and cheap. We do both spectrums. We don't do the stuff in the middle. And so I said, what are you doing with your department stores? He said, where we can in the terms of the lease. As soon as the contract is up, their lease is up, we evict them. I said, what do you put in there? He says, we may put up to 40 different bars, restaurants, and entertainment arcades and that type of stuff in where the department store used to be. And he said, sales go up in every store across that entire shopping center when we do that. I said, why is that? He said, because the millennials come there, they eat, they drink, they get drunk, and they go buy. I thought that was an intriguing thing, and they talked about that. So my retail, remember department stores before, we're just going to do this divergence on retail. Love retail. We are over-retailed in the U.S. I read a study right at the end of last year that stated we have twice as many square feet of retail per 1,000 people as Europe has. We don't need twice as much. We're going to need hybrid use of sales. A couple of years ago, I'm flying on a Thursday. I'm going from Chicago to New York. I'm going to come home on Friday morning early. And I've already got my fence holes done. And I got to build 130-some feet of fence. And on the airplane at 30-some thousand feet, on Wi-Fi, on my iPad, I went to the Home Depot. So I ordered my posts, my concrete, my boards, my stringers, my fasteners, and my stain. And it was delivered 2 hours before I got there free. and they delivered it 2 miles from the Home Depot 2 miles away, even though I went to a national website. We're going to get more hybrid use like this. Walmart's doing this big time right now. Walmart's online sales year to date are up 63% year over year, guys. This is really big. Now that said, guess what percent of all sales are online? Less than 9% today. Less than 9%. So we got to put that. We're getting industrial property impact. You're going to see more and more industrial spaces for distribution. And one of the neat things, I even saw it in Albany, New York, department store left, and in that super regional shopping center, they put a massive grocery store. Whole Foods and everything else like that's really coming in those markets. Who wants to know where interest rates are going? Anybody? Crap. It's a boring topic, but I'll do it anyway, all right. So, we can guess where rates are going to go, but I'm going to tell you where, a best indicator of what the Fed's going to do is what they've done in the past. So the last 4 times, now realize this, the Fed does not set rates. The Fed puts a target price on the Fed funds rate. That's the rate that one bank borrows from another bank overnight. And then they use monetary policy to move to that. So they're signaling with the target rate. So the last 4 cycles, June 04 to June 06, 25 months, the Fed raised their target rate 17 times, raised it 425 basis points. June 99 to May 2000, 12 months, 6 increases, 175 basis points. March 99, 1/4% once. February 94, February 95, 300 basis points. The average is 231. Do I think the Fed's going to raise rates 231 points, 2.31%? The answer is no. Why? Because the last time they did it, look at that top line. When they did the 425, there's a large number of people at the Fed that truly believe that that massive rate increase caused the recession. Or it made it worse, or both. So they're not going to do that. So what I think they're going to do, so I'll start up here on the top left with it. And I'm going to go back to November 1. 30-year rate was 3.54%. Let's round off 3.5%. Are we going to do the 231 basis point increase? No. We're going to do half in between the two. That means 12 to 18 months from now, I'm going to look at 30-year rates at 4.7 to 5.3%. Will that kill any of your sales?
Shouldn't.
By the way, if it does, you and I, remember my theme of my speech is things change? The average person that sold their house last year owned that house 7.88 years, according to CoreLogic. Now let's do the 7.88 years. Why do I get a 30-year loan if I'm going to be in the house 7 years? Y'all agree with me on this? Fannie and Freddie right now buy a 5-year and a 7-year fixed rate hybrid. It's fixed for 5 to 7 years, and after that it can go up a maximum of 1% a year. You get the fix for 7 years right now, that interest rate is 3.4%. Why aren't we getting people to get a 3.4% 7-year fixed rate loan? Who thinks I'm right? Y'all need to start rethinking this because we are so stoic and so set in our ways, I think we hurt our customers. And I call them customers. You call them clients, they're customers, guys. Y'all with me on this? Who's going to start thinking this a little bit? What I want you to do, I want you to take your lender out to lunch so they can educate you on this, and you find out what the rates are, get hooked up on a daily basis, and then I want you to try this. So you're showing her a house, and she wants to spend $2,000 a month max on a payment, right? She finds a home, and then you say, okay, current 30-year rates are 3.94%. We're on at 4% according to Freddie as of today. So at 4%, $2,000 a month, this is the house you can buy. How much more house could she buy if it was 3.4% on that 7-year? Y'all ever go to McDonald's or Burger King and they supersize it? Why don't you do the same? Who thinks it's going to work? Are you doing this? Love it. Love it. It's good news, guys. So I'm not worried about rates. Now, that said, you're going to hear a lot about total lending dropping. And total lending is going to drop because refi is going to go away. In fact, if you look at the combination of Fannie, Freddie, and the MBA, they're forecasting refinance lending this year compared to last year will drop 44, 45%, next year another 25%. On the other hand, on purchase lending, they're forecasting purchase lending will be up this year 5.9% and next year 5.6%. That's the function of more homes and higher prices both. That said, to put it in big terms though, last year we did 2.1 trillion, not quite. But this year we're going to do 1.6 trillion. That's a big drop. Who agrees? That's a big drop. So you understand that. Do we have too much federal debt? Who believes that?
Yep.
Again, I don't care if Republican or Democrat, I just care that you vote. I want everyone to be active. I want you to have skin in the game, so to speak. Whether you like them or don't like them, I don't care. Vote, participate, it's very important. And by the way, if you don't contribute to your realtor PAC, shame on you. Who thinks I'm right on this? They're the only ones looking out for your interests, guys. But very fortunately, we got the American Land Title Association, the home builders, the mortgage bankers, and the realtors, Apartment Association, all looking out for housing. And that's very, very important, guys. That said, I don't care if you voted for President Obama or not, he doubled our federal debt. He went from 10 trillion to 20 trillion. Is that scary, yes or no? Well, it is scary when you look at debt as a percent of GDP. We went from a little under 50% back in 2000. We're more than double that now. Our debt is more than GDP. And it used to be less than half of GDP. But here's the scary statistic. March of this year, total interest paid on the federal debt, compared to March a year ago, interest payments this year were up 30%. Why? It's not that debt went up that much year over year. It's a simple fact that President Obama financed federal debt. We refinanced it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 years. We should have been financing it at 30 years because they're the lowest interest rates you and I have ever seen, right? We didn't. So all this debt's coming due every other year now. So it's we're going to be on the hook for that. So I want to show you commercial real estate. This is total commercial real estate sales in the U.S. I'll get down to the Miami area in just a second. How many of y'all knew this? We had a bigger bubble in commercial in 07 than we had in housing. I bet y'all didn't know that, did you? Look what Steve did. You're in the commercial business, Steve, and I understand that. Y'all know Steve. He was immediate past president of the National CCIMs. Did y'all know? You don't know Steve Moriarty? Meet my good friend here, so you need to do that. But we dropped in commercial sales in 24 months, 88%. You didn't drop 88% in sales in resident. They did. We call them commercial brokers because most of them went broke. Y'all understand that? Yeah. Now this is trailing 12 months. This is Florida the trailing 12 months. So the U.S. is down 13%. You're down 4.75%. If you look at the first quarter, though, in the U.S., commercial sales this first quarter of this year compared to first quarter of a year ago, down 19.8%, down 20%. Oh, and guess what Congress is proposing right now? That we eliminate 1031 exchanges. My forecast is if you were to do that on top of this, instead of being down 20%, we'd be down 36%. Again, contribute to your PAC and call your local congressman and woman and tell them, do not eliminate 1031s. Who thinks I'm right? Very fortunately, NAR is on board with this. ALTA, American Land Title, Mortgage Bankers Association, National Home Builders are all on board. Don't eliminate this. American Bankers Association. So U.S. is down 19.8. Florida in the first quarter of this year, down 29.8. How come you're down more? Because so many of your buyers were international. The value of the dollar is so doggone strong that the international players are priced out. Kind of intriguing, isn't it? So you kind of, good news is making y'all hurt a little bit on the commercial side. I just wanted to point that out, that it's not as good as you think. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is cap rates on commercial, and then we'll be done with commercial. This is the cap rates in Manhattan Island in New York. It's 4%. The green is Miami. The black is the U.S., and the blue is Tampa. Miami's going to be losing some sales to Tampa because the investors will get so much more cash flow from their same investment. Just telling you. Just tell it like it is. 19.8%, guys, commercial sales, first quarter. All right. Now let's play another game. My last one before I play. And we have to have class participation. I used to be a professor at Texas A&M. I can bring anyone to the board I want. That's the way it works as a professor. If I threw out 19 days, what does that mean, y'all? Be creative. 19 days. Anybody? What'd you say?
Business days.
Business days. Okay. Bonus points. Wrong answer, but she's got more than the rest of y'all right now. I want to talk to y'all about something that's changed the destiny of Florida, and that's cheap energy. Guys, when energy costs are low, Florida booms. Why? Because U.S. booms. And you're a tourist destination, am I correct? Who wants to go back to 1973 in Florida when oil prices tripled and you couldn't buy gasoline? And this Thank heavens you didn't have tumbleweeds here because they'd be blowing across the entire state because they would just be rolling out to sea. Guys, 19 days. Get this one. 2.5 years ago, to go out and drill, that's 10 to 12 holes, and frack an oil well or gas well or both. It took us 40 days. We can do that in 19 days today. It's not that the price of oil came back. It's the simple fact we just have the cost of drilling. Oh, and long-term cheap energy is in the best interest for Florida. Who agrees with me on this? I mean, look at your power bills, look at transportation. You guys are an energy guzzling state. Is that a fair statement? I'm saying, you know, guys, $60 a barrel, we're not going to see that for a while. I want to show you this map. Anything that's pink, purple, or orange is shale that has oil or gas or both. How many of y'all knew there's that much oil and gas just in the lower 48? Did y'all know that? Oh, and in West Texas, there's this little place out here called the Permian Basin. That's near Midland, Odessa. Permian Basin, we thought we drilled all the oil out of there. There were salt domes. Yeah, it kind of rolled. I mean, the town was, we renamed it Midland Slow Death instead of Midland Odessa. And then last year, this consortium went out there and they drilled to 20,000 feet. One of the guys that I used to do a lot of appraisals for, his name was George Mitchell. You probably don't know George Mitchell. You ever heard of the Woodlands, north of Houston, Texas? That's George's development. George Mitchell owned Mitchell Energy. He was a petroleum engineer, graduate of Texas A&M. He's the guy that invented and perfected hydraulic fracking of shale formations. George used to tell me, if I gave him a 6-foot layer of shale on an 80 index, he has some index that tells how much oil or gas or both in it, he said I can get rich. So in the Midland, in this Permian Basin, a little over a year ago, they went down and drilled all the way down to 20,000. And at 12,000 feet, they went through this massive layer of rock, and they hit a 247-foot thick layer of shale that has a 100 index in oil. Another 1,000 feet down, they hit like 114 and 118 and 138, 127, and kept going and going and going. There is so much oil. There's 20 billion barrels of recoverable oil under Midland, Odessa. We use, in the U.S., 18 million barrels a day. We just found more oil under Midland, Odessa than exists in all of Saudi Arabia. And that's under today's technology. What that says to me, as long as our government regulations don't get in the way, you're going to have long-term, affordable energy. Y'all get me on this? So I'm not worried. I think we just reinforced your state's long-term growth. Who thinks I'm right? I really do. Kind of intriguing on that. And just to show you about technology and things change, 3 years ago, we had 2,100 drilling rigs in North America producing 9.8 million barrels per day. Today, we have 901 drilling rigs producing 9.8 million barrels per day. We're producing as much oil with 40% of the manpower and woman power and equipment. Y'all get how about things change? Yeah. Oh, and they're going to up their exploration. And here's the benefit to Florida. The average driver this year compared to 2014 is going to save $550 just on fuel costs for their car. Well, why is that big? Let's look at a couple with 2 teenage drivers, $2,200 a year. I just paid for my trip to Massland. Y'all get that? Kind of intriguing into Florida Keys. So here's where I leave this thing up. We'll finish this thing up. I want y'all to start thinking these hybrid fixed rate 5 and 7 year loans. Who thinks I'm right? I love the 7 year because most people, the average person, like I said last year, is 7.88 years. We're going to have faltering high-end residential sales. We're going to have faltering commercial sales, and nothing's going to change until Congress gets their act together and at least tells us what the rules are. Whether you like it or not, the quicker they get it done, the better we're going to be, right? It's this indecision that leaves us in no man's land. Inflation. If you don't believe there's inflation, UPS 4.9% increase December 26 last year. How many of y'all deal with people from the Midwest that used to be affluent and no longer are? Go back to 2005. President Bush said, we're going to raise corn, make it into alcohol so we don't have to buy as much oil. Problem is, great idea. Problem is, it takes as much oil to raise the corn as you get out of the corn. You didn't save any oil. Problem is, we temporarily made Midwestern farmers and their bankers temporarily rich. From the start in January 05, when we started the ethanol program, corn costs went up. The price of corn went up 500%. So that means everyone planted everything corn, except there wasn't enough corn equipment, there wasn't enough combines, trucks, tractors. So they went to their local bankers in the Midwest, and they borrowed money, they bought new trucks and tractors and combines. And then they went to their banker and they bought money to borrow guys like he and me, our farms, to buy our farms, because that young person said, I'm gonna get rich, and you and I are ready to go. We bought that stuff for 40 bucks an acre. We saw a sale in Iowa for $26,000 an acre for a cornfield. 26,000 bucks an acre for a cornfield. Guess what happens as the price of gasoline's gone down? It's cheaper to put gasoline in gasoline than ethanol in gasoline. And the price of corn's dropped 40%. And our Midwest farmers last year couldn't make their payments to their banks. Oh, and the FDIC says up to 300 Midwest banks will go belly up. And don't worry, you and I will pay for those. Y'all with me on that. Things change. I love this picture. Say no to gasoline, go 100% electric, and when you take your Honda generator when you run out of juice going down the road. I'm sorry. It's ironic. It is ironic, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And of course, my next one, this is the new green car. Don't you love that sign, parking reserved for green vehicles?
I love to go wandering along the mountain track, and as I go, I like to sing a knapsack on my back.
Yeah, I love it. Things change, guys. I do want y'all to think big about the future here in Florida. One of my friends sent me this picture. Speed limit 25, your speed 13, high score 97. Does that sound like anyone in here, the high score thing? Yeah. Things change. He's got a question or two. Yes?
What do you see for the luxury market down here in the east?
You know, we even see this in St. John, Virgin Island. You can see over this office. People just kind of step back. Are y'all getting that kind of perception? They feel no rush on the super high end to buy in today. And I think it's that uncertainty over what the tax rules are. Whether they like the tax rules or not, I think they'll buy once they know the rules. It's just that uncertainty. Yeah, that's my guess. Yes?
How do we keep apprised of what's going on, like when we're in the Florida Keys? Where do we go for data?
Where do you go for data in Florida Keys? You know what we need to do? We need to get the Florida realtors to put together the data series from the 3 realtor associations here and add it to the list that's on the floridarealtor.org page. Who thinks that would be a good idea? I do.
Yeah, our broker does that.
We have stats on okay, all right. But yeah, well, if you go to the market reports on the MSAs, you're not included.
Not on MSAs, but John, if you on Flex dashboard, in the keys, you actually have a link to our stats.
So
No, I know those stats, but the other ones that you've been using.
Did I use?
Yes.
Oh, you better start tracking my blog and my tweets, man. That's. By the way, if you want to find me on my blog, Jones on Real Estate, just Google that. It'll take you right to my blog. And my Twitter account. Did anyone sign up yet? Oh, wait, nobody's allowed to leave until I get 10 new people. We'll check in a minute. Blog, just Google Jones on Real Estate. Or you can go to Steward.com. It's on the bottom of the page there too. But Jones on Real Estate is the quickest way to get there. It'll take you to Steward.com site. Yep. Stephen?
You think that Congress will negotiate the house reduction, home interest reduction, even though it's still going to drop?
Do I think Congress is going to maintain the home interest deduction? Speaker of the House said we're going to maintain it. President Trump wants to maintain it. I got those two guys saying they're going to maintain it. I think they'll keep it.
But how do you do that and get the rest of the tax together with the tax reductions?
Well, the big deal is that for most people, if we double the standard deduction, whether your home interest is deductible or not, it's
It's the same deal.
same thing. Yeah. I think everyone talks about we have gridlock in Washington D.C. That's a wrong term. Gridlock, so many things happen that nobody can move. Y'all ever play chess? Y'all know what stalemate is? Stalemate is if you move, you lose. That's what's going on in D.C. right now. a bunch of politicians. I will tell you this about the House and the Senate. We've got to have term limits because now it's all about power. The longer you're there, the more powerful you are. If you had 2 sessions in the Senate, 3 sessions in the House, and you were out, the power wouldn't be the big issue. I remember years ago when I was a professor at Texas A&M, I had a guy come into my office. He said, I'm running for the Texas Senate. I've got one bill I want to pass, and then I'm done. That was 1985. That bozo's still in the Texas Senate. Gets over there, gets in, he loves the power, and he stays. So, yeah, we need term limits there. Yes?
My question is, how do you get Congress to make that kind of a change?
Oh, she asked how do I get Congress to make that kind of change? The term limits is a states' right issue. We don't have to worry about Congress doing it. Just like we did under Prohibition, just like we did with the women's vote, suffrage, we could do that in the states. If the states were to pass this, then Congress has no choice. It's a states' right issue. How about that? Kind of
Sounds
intriguing, isn't
good.
it?
Let's thank Ted.
Thank you.